What is up, Jabronis? JJ back here live, talking a little Sweet 16, March Madness, over here from Run Pure Bets. So this will be for the games for March 24th. I'll talk through each of these games and have a best bet. What's up, Bobby? Brandon? What's happening? What's the good word? I wish. I wish. I certainly wish. All right, so look, first off, let's recap last week's games. It was nice to be profitable in this tournament over the first 4 days, and after an 0-2 start with how the game started, Colorado State going up 15 and still losing outright. And look, let's be honest, Michigan's still fighting, right? So kudos to them. But look, grinded out profits, helped out by a huge Saturday, and also by not getting killed on any day. As for the show's plays, 5-4 was how they landed, so plus some pennies. And let's be clear, you can't ever complain about profits. You find yourself doing such a thing, you probably shouldn't be betting sports. This isn't really science. If you're profitable, it's great. Anything else and you're complaining, you shouldn't be. Above all else, I still have my Final Four intact. I'm definitely not a bracket guy per se. I make one bracket a year, and quite frankly, it's often a disaster. But still very live, so let's see how that gets blown up this weekend. I'll talk each of these games for Thursday evening, and if you have any questions, happy to entertain them. So look, without further ado, let's get right into it. Roll Care, what's happening, my man? Would love if you could break down how to hedge a few futures. Yeah, Brandon. I mean, it matters. It matters in how much you have. You could also. I guess we can go to that at the end, Brandon. Just remind me, just in case I kind of get off on a tangent in one way or another. Okay, so the Zags versus Arkansas. Gonzaga minus 9.5, total 155. This game has some interesting elements to it, right? It's going to play at a predictable blaze. And the question becomes: does Arkansas really want to run with Gonzaga, at the same pace, right? I mean, Arkansas plays fast. They don't play Gonzaga fast. Look, 2 undisciplined defenses, which explains the total of 155. The Zags, though, have not gotten off to fast starts in either of their first two games. This go-around could be a bit different, though, as Arkansas is not a snail, and they're not a big threat on the offensive glass. Arkansas draws contact, gets a lot of their points that way. But the Zags are quite disciplined in that regard. They don't really foul that much. Either way, this expects to be a frantic pace. And look, I'll be honest, Arkansas is going to have to shoot lights out to win this game. As I've previously stated in other videos around this tournament, Gonzaga will exit this tournament versus a good shooting team that makes their three-pointers. Memphis played a really good half against Gonzaga, but shots stopped falling, and Gonzaga did what they do, right? And that's, knock down consistent tough shots or even just let their playmakers be that. It's just tough to fathom the Razorbacks being the team that actually knocks the Zags out. Of course, it could happen, but again, it will require quite a good shooting performance from them. Now, overall, don't love anything about this game per se, but again, to me, it makes sense that Gonzaga could potentially run this team out of the gym. Again, based on how they play, and Gonzaga is just a better version of Arkansas in a lot of different ways. Some of the things Arkansas does well, Gonzaga counters. So yes, Gonzaga has not looked excellent in this tournament thus far. Obviously, hanging around with Georgia State for an entire half, and then getting down to the wire against Memphis. But this might be their final showing out game. Also, you always like to back teams in the tournament that have had their oh shit moment. And Gonzaga certainly had a few oh shit moments in that Memphis game, but it was nice to see them continue to push outward. So moving on to the next game. So Villanova, Michigan figures to be a rock fight as two snails that play above average defense and bring a lot of length to the table. Some people may call that girth. Can Michigan continue this little mini heroic run they're on against a trendy Villanova bunch? Now, Michigan's upset against Tennessee was twofold, right? I mean, the Wolverines were efficient on offense, and Tennessee missed plenty of good looks. Michigan, credit to them, of course, but Tennessee got a lot of good looks at the basket, and shots were not falling. Now, Nova will likely make this team pay the price for that. But I also didn't feel like Michigan played their best in that win either. Michigan can match up well here as long as Nova is not unconscious shooting the basketball. Easy to say, right, though, as Nova can be uber efficient at times. But expect a nice little back and forth here. Elite talent on both ends. This game's going to come down to Michigan making threes, in my opinion. And look, Michigan does not shoot a lot of them. And Nova knows this. And Michigan is also going to have some issues working the ball inside to Dickinson. So that's why I feel like Michigan's going to have to work the inside-out game and take open threes when they have them and actually hit them. Like, Michigan's not a terrible three-point shooting team. They just really don't shoot a lot of them. Again, I think that the recipe – and you hate to you hate to want to go against Nova and try to keep pace with them with the three ball. I just feel like it's going to be their best looks of the game. I think that Nova's going to try to collapse the defense inside, force his team to beat them with jumpers. And if Michigan's open or getting open looks, why not take them? They definitely have guys that can make threes. Again, their offense is just not predicated on shooting a lot of them. But needless to say, this should be a good game. Should a nice little back and forth. Can Michigan scheme up good enough to outplay some of these Nova, especially their guards? Nova is superior talented on the offensive end, and they're super efficient, and they make free throws late in the game to put it away. So, if you're Michigan, you're going to try to get out early and take an early lead, as they've done in a few of these games now, or at least in their last game. Colorado State was quite the opposite. But again, it goes back to being battle tested. I mean, Michigan was staring at a 15-point deficit with 8 minutes left in the first half of their first round game. They got through that, and then it seemed like went wire to wire, toe to toe with Tennessee, and pulled the upset there. So again, should be a good game overall. Don't love anything, but again, should be a fun one. Now, speaking of a fun one, Texas Tech and Duke, a nice little game of differences in styles. Most of this year, Duke has been claimed to be overrated, but I'll say this: if everyone thinks a team is overrated, how is said team overrated? Banchero's been good, but he'll need to be great from here for Duke to keep progressing. The issue with Duke is really not their offense, it's their defense, right? This team is super lax on that side of the floor. Contrary to this, Tech is quite the opposite. Super stingy defensively, but can go on scoring droughts like any team in D1 can. The good part for Tech is their flaws are countered with Duke's flaws. Tech turns the ball over a ton, or a lot more than they should be. And Duke does not force turnovers on defense, and Tech fouls a ton, and Duke does not draw a lot of contact. So Tech is a deserved favorite here, but a great showing from Duke studs led by Banchero could certainly push them over the hump here. Also a nice mix of tempos. So interested to see which tempo plays out. Of course, Duke is going to try to run to not try to get caught in these half-court defense schemes from Tech, and Tech's going to consistently try to play things safe and rebound efficiently on the defensive end and just slow the game down. I think Tech's going to have to limit offensive rebounds, which they could do. They do very well. Again, that has a lot to do with their pace. They load up guys on the defensive end to pull down boards and then slow the ball up the court like a snail. But again, if Duke's able to speed this game up and get better looks in transition, that'll be the difference. Tech is definitely going to try to slow this game down. I just think the length is going to really bother Duke. Even on one-on-one, this team can match up on a position by position basis. So this will be another good game. I think you got a lot of great matchups on this Thursday slate. And followed by another one, Arizona Houston. This is going to be my best bet. Houston money line plus 110. Look, I have Houston in the Final Four in my bracket. I've loved this team all year. I thought that the only exception to them was that they were absolutely terrible at shooting the three ball. No Sasser, and they haven't had guys that could extend the wing. But recently, especially heading into their American Conference tourney, they started landing some three balls. Like I said, without that, it limits their upside because it limits their ability to spread the floor. But they've found the stroke from outside with some key guys, and it's helped spread out their offense. Arizona poses some challenges, in various ways, but especially with their big men. But this is a real intriguing matchup where the wrong team is favored. I want to be clear. I capped this number at just under Houston minus 1.5. So dog money is still a solid value spot. And, it's actually funny. I said that TCU had a chance against Arizona if they did a lot of work on the offensive glass. TCU is one of the better teams in the country on the offensive glass. And I even said, Arizona, if they just didn't want to play to their own tempo, if they just committed to the way TCU wants to play, which is grind out offensive boards and play slow, it would have been, in my opinion, Arizona's best chance to win that game. Instead, Arizona wanted to play their tempo and wanted to speed the game up, and it resulted in a lot of lacks on the offensive glass department in favor of TCU. Well, enter Houston, who is also elite on the offensive glass, and now a team in Houston that can match up position by position, unlike TCU could or couldn't. There was also an interesting way that game ended. I would argue that Arizona is extremely fortunate to be in this game. I don't know how that wasn't a foul at the end of that game. The dude got mugged by two different guys, and no foul was called, which I know that refs like to hold a whistle in certain instances, but you have to still be a realist, right? That was a foul at the end of the game, and it would have put TCU at the free throw line, but it really should have been called. It was a foul. So yes, there's Arizona playing with a little bit of house money here. But again, I think that matchup-wise, Houston is a much better version of TCU. Super good on the glass, much longer, much more efficient offensively. It's going to be a tough test for Arizona here. And, of course, Arizona can win. They have studs all over the place. I mean, they definitely have some of the best players on the court on their side or in favor of them. But, again, matchup-wise, scheme-wise, A lot of things favor Houston. Arizona, especially if they choose to try to run with Houston will run with any team. So, Houston plays relatively slow on offense, but they are happy to push their own tempo if they feel it's an advantage for them. They're very well coached. Overall, two talented teams. Give me the small dog, who shouldn't be one in this spot, despite the 1-4 matchup. Houston moneyline plus 110, DK New Jersey. May the odds be ever in our favor. Okay, so let me look at a few things that we got here. Why is Duke not favored? So I briefly mentioned that. It's an interesting spot, though, because, like I said, if everybody thinks a certain team is overrated, are they even overrated at that point then? But again, I think it's a bad matchup for Duke. I think it's going to require Duke studs to make a lot of tough shots all game long, and the quality of shots in their offense is already a problem. So, and Tech is going to really force this team to be the best version of themselves. And I don't, over 40 minutes, look, Duke can outdo them, with their studs, and they have elite folks, again, led by Boncaro, but, overall, we'll see how it plays out. And that's a good point. Note is going to, he's going to have 30. And he's another guy that gets himself into foul trouble. If that guy has to get auto benched for one reason or another, it's going to be a huge problem for Arkansas in that game, because they're going to need him to play really well. So Rich bring up a good point. The MSU cover was interesting, right? I mean, MSU is up 1 with 2 minutes left, 2 minutes-ish left, and they lose by 9 or 10. Just interesting. But that's been college basketball in a nutshell, right? That's why, covering spreads when you're betting favorites has so much to do with people making their free throws late, and you're not getting like offensive collapses. But either way, I agree with you, Brandon. Arkansas is a little undersized for the Zags, but they can make up for it. They will. Gonzaga, especially in the first halves of games, they've been really lax defensively. I thought about betting Arkansas's team total over in the first half, but I have my concerns. Like, I think the game's going to play like a blaze. But again, you're playing a much better version of yourself if you're Arkansas in playing Gonzaga. And I just think it was tough to love any spot on the game on that side anyway. And what if Dixon's in foul trouble? Do they have another answer for Dickinson? So look, Brandon, I mean, Jay Wright's an incredible coach. I'm sure they have plan Bs and fail safes for in the event Dixon gets auto bench with fouls or whatever. On for Dickinson. And again, I expect this team right from the jump. And I mean, I guess we'll see, right? Because Dixon can match up with him one-on-one in terms of Dickinson. Dickinson's a smooth player, though, right? It's just everything he does about his game seems so fluid. I'm not sure how well it'll translate to the NBA level. Seems a little soft in that respect. But I mean, he is just a pure scorer around the rim. He's got a great jumper. Reminds me a little bit of maybe a poor man's Sabonis in that sense. If you guys remember him from Gonzaga. I mean, I know that now he's with the Kings and he's a tremendous NBA player, but his game reminds me a little bit of Sabonis. Sabonis was an incredible offensive talent, but then lacked some issues on the defensive end. So Mathurian for Arizona is going to be an issue. Houston, I would expect to throw more there and maybe even double at times. But again, I think that there's they can match up really, really well on that end. For the Hog shows up in the tourney like last year. Yeah, Tercero, I can't argue that. Again, I don't love anything about the Gonzaga game. But again, I think that it's a spot where Gonzaga might remind everybody why they're super good. And again, they've gotten off to some slow starts, and I would expect that to change a bit. All Duke can do is drive, and you can't do that against Tech. West. Yeah, I mean, and the weird part is, Brendan, is that they drive to the rim a ton, and they don't get fouled. Like they drive and they hits that they shoot step back jumpers, and it's a super odd team to watch. I'll be honest. Like, if you guys watched a lot of Duke this year, they have talent all over the place. And I don't know if this is a Krzyzewski day. I don't know what the issue is, but they settle for a lot of low percentage shots. And it's odd. Again, there's so much talent on that team. But other than that, guys, Houston money line, call that a best bet for the show. I know it's the last game, so I know cue the tiny violins. You'll have to wait for it tomorrow. And then tomorrow, I expect to go live around 6:45 ish, maybe even 6:30. But I will have the show done. Like the CSO 15 minutes, I'll have the show done before the tip of the first game. So, I'm not bothering you guys while you're trying to watch games, but I will have the video up, and then we'll be able to talk on the games for Friday. I'll do that tomorrow, so you guys will get that. I'll have another best bet for you guys as well. And then, look, as always, folks, gamble responsibly, stay safe, Be sure, if you haven't already, check out Joey Works MLB previews. Obviously, Spread and Tyler continue to smash the NBA stuff. Kegger with the live show is just a continued monster. So, other than that, yeah, gamble responsibly, stay safe, and run pure. I'll see you guys tomorrow talking Friday's games.